大家好，欢迎收看 HIVE Blockchain Talk 区块链风潮，我是主持人 Camille。有一个项目，它号称集齐了比特币网络和以太坊网络的优势，在比特币网络上加上了智能合约系统。不用我说，大家一定知道，这个就是近年来非常火爆的 RSK 项目。今天我们有幸就请到了 RSK 的 CEO Diego 先生，与我们聊一下有关 RSK 和 RIF 的所有故事。Welcome to HIVE Blockchain Talk. I am Camille. Today I'm sitting with this gentleman, Diego. He is the CEO of RSK. Hi, Diego.
Hi, Camille.
It's very nice to have you here.
Likewise, I'm very happy to be here with you.
So today we are going to talk about RSK's 2019 plan and its goal and what's the current status. There's so many news coming out about RSK. So the first question for Diego. RSK is an old project, like it lasts for a few years. So right now we are having RIF coming out. So what's the current status of RSK and RIF?
Well, RSK was born with one vision, that was the vision of creating the Internet of Value, a new Internet for the transfer of value, on top of Bitcoin. So the first work we started was basically to create a smart contracts platform secured by the Bitcoin network. And that process took a couple of years. We started in 2015 with the idea, but we got the funding in 2016 and we deployed the RSK network in production in January 2018. And in that process, we started moving in the direction of the following stage of our vision, that was creating cloud computing services on top of RSK. And that's exactly RIF. RIF is the following stage of our vision. So both RSK and RIF are part of the same vision and part of the same infrastructure that we are building on top of Bitcoin to turn Bitcoin into the more advanced blockchain platform in the world.
Okay, I read something about RIF and RSK.
Yes.
So from my understanding, RIF is the third layer above Bitcoin, above RSK, right?
Yes.
But I also heard that RIF also acquired RSK.
Yes, I think
Yes, so
there was a lot of confusion
Yes,
about that.
exactly. So please explain to us.
Yes, because initially RSK was developed by a company called RSK Labs. So part of the confusion is that the company and the platform had the same name.
Okay.
And when we started RIF, we thought that it was better to do a spin-off, like a separate project, and that was RIF. And RIF did the fundraising with RIF Labs, a separate organization. But later on, we realized that it didn't make sense to have two separate teams. It makes sense to have all the efforts under one roof, and that will create a stronger model for and a stronger company and organization for both projects. So RIF Labs, that was basically the founding team of RSK plus other people, decided to acquire RSK Labs, all the assets, and now both companies are one.
Okay.
So very likely soon we will announce the rename of the organization into IOV Labs, and the platforms will keep their current name. So we will still have RSK platform for smart contracts, RIF platform for decentralized cloud computing, and IOV Labs as an organization pushing both platforms together.
So the next question will be on the finance world.
Yes.
So RIF raised about 22,000 Bitcoin.
Yes, exactly. With that, but the funds raised by RIF
Yes.
were not used to buy RSK. RSK was bought entirely with RIF tokens. So in that way, the RSK team is fully aligned with the success of the RIF ecosystem and token, because we didn't want to create misalignments, and we wanted to have all the management team and the shareholders of RSK, which are very famous companies in the ecosystem, we want them all to be aligned with the full vision and the long-term success of the project. So all of us, all the management team and all the shareholders of RSK are also incentivized to reach success. So the money we raise will be devoted entirely to develop the software, the technology, and the team, the organization that will create a very successful ecosystem around RIF and RSK in the world.
Yesterday I was interacting with the community, especially the Chinese community. So they came up with a question like, in China, value or price management is very popular and it's very common for all the blockchain team there to doing it. So their question is, when is RIF and RSK going to make the price going up again?
Well, the thing is that we are a public organization, a purpose-driven organization.
Yeah.
And although I understand that in China, you know, the price making is something common.
Yeah.
In the rest of the world, that can be seen as market manipulation, and it's not something we can do like it's used to be done in other markets. But we think that that can create like short-term price appreciation.
Yes.
And instead of that, what we are doing is working in the long-term, appreciation of the value of RIF ecosystem. So how we do that is basically we are creating the technology on one side, but also we are creating the adoption on the other. So we are working with governments and big organizations that will bring millions of users into the RIF RSK ecosystem. And also we have certain models of use for the RIF token that will create a lot of value into the ecosystem.
Yes.
So RIF will be used for example, to manage the insurance of the service providers within the RIF ecosystem. So if you want to use RIF services, or you will have insurance on the back.
Okay.
So if the service provider doesn't fulfill the service level agreement, the service provider will be punished. So that staking system will create a lot of demand for RIF, because any service provider that wants to offer services in RIF needs to stake amount of RIF. Other projects, for example, are using RIF to create stable assets fully collateralized with RIF, much like MakerDAO is doing with Ether, but with RIF. So that also will create a big demand of RIF and offer a very valuable tool for the ecosystem that is a stable asset. So you will have RIF renminbi, RIF USD, all the currencies of the world represented within the RIF RSK ecosystem. And also other projects are using RIF to create settlement between different payment hubs around the world. So if you have a payment hub on RIF payments that don't share an asset with another payment hub, they can use RIF as a bridge to communicate and exchange. So when all those use cases are in place, the value of the RIF ecosystem will be very, very strong. And that's a process that we will have ready by the end of the year. And we will see this whole ecosystem blossom in the next year. So in terms of our vision, that's not very long term, although I understand that people sometimes want shorter returns.
So actually I do have friends invested in RIF and RSK for significant amounts, and they do expecting to have some movement, especially on the price wise. But can you give us an predictions like when exactly the price will go up in the near future?
Yes, that's very difficult to tell, because the price is something that the market decides freely. But what I can tell is that in the very near future, in May, in consensus, we will launch RIF payments, the second module of RIF. And I think that's one of the key components of the RIF infrastructure. And that will have a high impact in the perception of the markets and the people. So I expect the markets to react well to all the roadmap that we are presenting during these days, and how we are going to develop our vision during 2019. So I can talk more than of the price. I can talk of what technology we will deliver. We have, as I said, very high-profile use cases So that will be also something very relevant for the ecosystem. So even though I think the full vision will take a year or two to really mature and show the true value, you can be assured that we will have results very soon as well.
Thank you. So as you mentioned, there's so many projects going on with
Yes.
RIF and RSK. So I'm also interested to know what are the exact government projects is RIF and the RSK going with, because many people are also very interested.
Perfect. Well, on one side, we have a project with the Ministry of Science and Technology from Argentina to do traceability of organic producers in Argentina. That's a way to give good reputation to the organic producers in Argentina and to certify that the origins were really organic and fulfill the expectations of the consumers abroad. So that's one project that is very interesting because it's connected to improving the local economy and also with using blockchain to create trust between markets, which is one of the key values of blockchain technologies. And then we are in talks with the agency from the Chilean government also to improve the transparency in the banking system between the central bank and the commercial banks. And also we have been working with the Gibraltar government on some educational projects. So we are working on different areas.
Yes.
We have been discussing also with some governments about creating a digital representation of the local currency. So there's many projects ongoing.
Yes.
That, as I said, once these projects are deployed,
Yeah.
they will have a huge impact because we are talking of projects that might impact millions of people.
Sure. Another question on the gas.
Yes.
So RSK issued a kind of coin called RBTC.
Yes.
It's one-on-one to one RBTC equals one BTC. From most Chinese know that RBTC actually is listed on 4B.com,
Yeah.
which is the biggest cryptocurrency exchange in China, also in the world. So what do you think about this?
Well, we have very good relationship. I've known Liling since 2016 when I
Yes.
started coming to China. I met with him and I explained our vision in full. So I think Hobby will be a great partner for the things that we are willing to do in the next years. And in general, we have very good relationship with the whole ecosystem because in that sense, RSK is very unique because we have good relationship with most of the exchanges, with most of the miners in the world, even the ones that compete among them. So we are very special organization and platform because we manage to get people from different spaces in the crypto world together. We have great relationship with the Ethereum developer community, so it's interesting that RSK is the point of communion of people who in other spaces are fighting each other.
Yes. We're expecting for RIF to be listed on a premium exchange.
Yes.
So yesterday, actually, I have a news that our RIF is listed on coinall.com, this exchange. So to be honest with you, we are expecting RIF to be listed on either OK, Yens, or Huobi.com.
Yes.
So why are you working with CoinAll, and will you be listed on those other big exchanges as well?
Yes, we are working with all the exchanges. So basically, we don't control when the exchanges come. What we do is we assist them in the process of integrating with RIF and RSK. And that process is more complex than with other tokens because in our case, they need first to integrate with the RSK network, and it's a new network. It's like integrating with Ethereum for the first time or integrating with Bitcoin for the first time. That's why many exchanges are taking longer because they need to, distract some resources in order to do that. But I can tell that many of the top exchanges, are already working on integrating RSK and RIF. and you mentioned Coinol, but also the day before KuCoin integrated. So it's many exchanges that are integrating, and as they are ready, they will be deploying and announcing their integrations with RIF and RSK.
Sure.
So that's happening.
Okay, but when are we going to see RIF to be on list those top 3 exchanges?
Speaking already with
okay.
many of them, so we are in good relationships with them.
Yeah.
And I think it will be soon, but I cannot. I mean, it's in their hands. But we have been working very well with our technical teams, so I think that's happening pretty soon. I cannot tell exactly when.
So for the developers, how many developers are currently working on RIF and RSK?
Well, currently our organization has 40 developers that are working on RIF and RSK.
40.
40.
Okay.
40
Okay.
40人. But the team is going to grow. The technical team is going to grow heavily during this year because we are starting to have parallel teams for each of the components of RIF. That RIF has 5 components, plus the RSK teams. That the RSK teams themselves have multiple teams, because you have the mining team, you have the federation team, you have the node team. So each of these platforms is very complex, and what we are creating is a system where we will have parallel teams building all the infrastructure in parallel. So growing an organization, it takes time as well. Like Bamboo, takes a long time to set the roots. But once the roots are in place, it grows faster than anything.
Yeah.
Well, what we have been doing during the last year is setting the roots for a very fast growth, during the late part of this year and next year. So I'm very happy with how the team is growing and setting, and I think our contributors will see the effects very soon, and they will be very happy with what's coming.
Diego also told me that currently they're building up their Asian team. So can you give us an update on the team members and what's your plan in China?
Well, what we did is on one side, we make an agreement with Yuan Chang from Bitmain, and she's going to help us as an advisor to set up our team in Shanghai to service all the East Asia region. And one of our team members, Henry Schreiman, that is our business manager, will move to Singapore to be leading the Southeast Asia region. So this is the beginning of the construction of our local teams in the region. And we have high expectations. We think that East Asia and Southeast Asia have different natures, so we are targeting the regions in a different way. So in the case of Southeast Asia, there's a lot of common elements with Latin America. So we think that adoption there, financial inclusion, are things where we can help a lot. So that will be our focus. And East Asia is where the markets are, where you have a lot of talent, a lot of developers, a lot of companies that can use the technology, and governments. So our strategies will be different in each region, but the message that we want to give is that we are coming to Asia to stay for the long term, as it's a region that I've been visiting for 3 years now, and it's very important for us.
Also give us a short introduction about the core team of RIF.
Yes. The core team, it's initially comprised by our founding team, that one of the key members is Sergio Lerner, that is our chief scientist. I think there was some confusion that Sergio was our CEO, but I always was the CEO of RSK, and then I became the CEO of RIF. And Sergio was always our chief scientist. Sergio has, I would say, he started in Bitcoin in 2011. He found 9 bugs in the Bitcoin ecosystem. So he's considered one of the top experts in security in the Bitcoin ecosystem. He also was the first one to create a Turing complete or general purpose smart contract platform called Quickscoin in 2013, 1 year before Ethereum was even announced. And for example, if you go to the Bitcoin wiki, you will see that there's two methods for atomic swaps, and one is by Tim Nolan, and the other one is by Sergio. So Sergio is really brilliant, and I'm honored to have him as a partner, co-founder, and our chief scientist. And together with him, also we have the other three founders. We have Adrian, our CTO, and Ruben, our COO, that they have been in the technology business for many years. And also we have Gabriel Kuhlman, that comes from the financial background and was my partner in the previous endeavor, and have been in the Bitcoin space since 2013 as well. So I think that was the core team, but in the last years we added, the people who will represent us in Asia. We added the marketing director, Gloria Bailati, that she used to be the representative for Apple in Latin America. So we are adding Alex Abercovo, that he was a banker for many years as CFO. Together we did an IPO in NASDAQ in 2000. So we are building a team of highly seasoned professionals that will prepare the future of RIF and RSK. So,
Sure.
And on top of that, we have top advisors like Joy Isolas from Gibraltar, that is one of the top lawyers in the crypto space, and many others.
Speaking of the goals of 2019, what's the most important goal you want to achieve?
Well, I think the whole crypto space is in a moment where we have to demonstrate that we can bring mass adoption into our technologies. Until now, all the talks were about the technology, and now all the talks need to be about use cases, need to be on how we will bring user adoption into our ecosystem. And all the design of RIF components is created with that in mind. All the RIF components are about scaling the blockchain technologies to be able to service millions of users. It's about simplifying the use of blockchain technologies, so traditional developers can use blockchain technology without being experts in blockchain. And I think once people see all these pieces in place, and we have libraries and documentation and all the tools for developers to build the next financial applications, mass adoption will come. So I think 2019 is the final preparation year, and we will see in 2020, we will see a breakthrough in our ecosystem, and we will see mass adoption starting to happen.
So you say 2019 is the final preparation year.
Yes.
So can you specific, like what kind of target you need to achieve?
Well, I think we need to have the full stack of RIF in place, and that's exactly what we are targeting. By the end of the year, we will have all the components of RIF in place. We will have payments, off-chain payments, the equivalent of Lightning, but on RSK, that is called Lumino. We will have name resolution, the same as ENS. We will have data storage, secure communications, and gateways. There is a system that will enable Oracle services to get information from the outside world into the RIF and RSK ecosystem, and to create interoperability with other blockchains. Among those blockchains, we are creating a two-way peg between Ethereum and RSK, so assets from Ethereum will be able to port into RSK. So that's very important because, for dApp developers, now they have the security that their applications will keep running even if there's a problem in any platform. They can jump to another platform and secure their businesses. So when all those components are there, we are also planning to create a lab in the Silicon Valley. So when all those places all the things are in place, I think people will realize the potential, and we will be able to enable use cases that will be very relevant for the crypto ecosystem.
Thank you for so much details. Yes, Is there any questions I didn't cover and you want to share with my audience?
No, I think you did a wonderful work. Like you ask all the right questions. Some maybe are a little bit difficult, but I think difficult questions need to be asked. No, I think we should realize that what we are building is the infrastructure for the financial system of the future. That financial system will be able to serve billions of users in our world that today are excluded from our society. And that has a unique value because it's not only the opportunity of creating business and reaching to new customers, but also the opportunity of creating a society with equal opportunities for everybody. So that's very powerful. And as I always said, you can take it as a business opportunity and say, okay, I can reach new audiences, I can offer services, but it's also a very important human opportunity to create a better world. So I think we are blessed to be part of this movement, of this transformation, and I would say all of you should, at least educate yourself, learn about it, and see what you can do around this, because this is going to change the world in a deep way.
Thank you, Diego. It's very, very fruitful to discuss with you. I wish you all the best and wish all the best to RIF and RSK. Thank you to have you here.
Thank you very much.
感谢 Diego 先生与我们分享了 RSK 和 RIF 项目。那我们也希望在2019年和2020年，他们能够完成项目的目标和远景，让我们拭目以待吧。感谢您的收看，我是主持人 Camille。在无趣的世界寻找真理，我是你最可靠的领路人。